So this Saturday, I mean, I think the line is like 18.5. Are you expecting any, surprises, anything, different? Are you, expecting kind of the same relative story that we've seen with Michigan as far as Saturday against Rutgers?
I think that they're going to try to do what they've done for 3 weeks. I don't think they're going to come out and say, okay, well, Rutgers pretty stout against the run. We may want to fool them. We may want to break tendency, and we'll see a different Michigan offense. I think that if they pass the ball 30 times, it's going to be because they had to pass the ball 30 times. Or maybe, although we've had this conversation and you and Dre had this conversation, even if they could throw the ball 30 times because they're up by so much, just to work on the pass game, and this time against a pretty quality opponent, I don't necessarily think, based on what they've shown us for 3 weeks, that they'll even do that. I think it's going to be run until they stop us. And then, hey, if we're in a one-score game after halftime, then we may do what we need to do if they're holding us to 3.5 yards a carry or whatever the case might be, that we'll see them deviate from that. But I think that they are going to stay with what got them there until we see otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. And the positive part of it is we have discovered a star in Blake Corum. So, you're kind of at the point now where we can't, air it out, because our best player, Blake Corum, like he needs a lot of touches, and he's an explosive player, and he's a guy that is a difference maker. I mean, on Saturday, we were talking potentially Blake Corum for Heisman, based on his performance and what he's done thus far. And I think with Michigan continuing to win, that's only going to bolster, that potential. So, I agree. I think it's going to be more of the same. I think it's going to be, a heavy run game, some play action, deep shots, and Michigan really controlling the time of possession, controlling the clock. And, really, if you get to the point where for Rutgers, the dangerous part is going to be if you do throw the ball 30 times because you're behind, is you got Aiden Hutchinson, who's having a great season, who's going to be lurking. So, it's a tough spot. I think the line's probably about right. I could see Michigan winning by 21, 24, something like that. So it'll be interesting, but I think it is going to be kind of a exactly what we've seen the last 3 weeks.
This running back trifecta is and I go to the trifecta rather than the tandem because of what we saw on Saturday with Donovan Edwards getting some carries. And he's been his arrival much anticipated by Michigan fans as a 5-star right there out of the state of Michigan. So he gets into the groove, and he averages over 10 yards per carry in some spot duty. So,
which is just silly. I mean, I know he had the long run, but to average 10 yards a carry is just silly.
Yeah. And now they got 3 of them, and they seem to have different skills and strengths to where it's a real compliment to the offense. Blake Corum, he's going to give you the splash play, the one that everybody talks about, the one that makes the highlights. And Hassan Haskins is going to get you the tough yards. And I think he's taken the first series, so he's technically the starter. And then we see Donovan Edwards coming up against Northern Illinois. So to have that kind of depth and different type of backs is maybe puts them in a position unlike anybody else in the Big Ten right now from that standpoint.
Yeah, I think the advantageous spot that they're in is nice because you have, like you mentioned, these guys all do different things, but at different points in the game, you can go to any one of them. Especially I look at, the starter with Hassan Haskins of being that big, physical, powerful runner that, in the second half, he's going to be pretty fresh. I mean, I think we've seen him have 20 or so carries is probably the most that we've seen from him in a game, 20 to 24. So, you're talking about a running back, coming at you in the third and fourth quarter that's only has, 10 or 11 carries. Like, he's going to be really fresh and, really punishing your defense, because it's, obviously on the offensive side, and as a running back, it's easy to sub, those guys in. But defensively, usually you only have a good, in certain spots, you might have two guys that you feel, good about in that play one position. So that definitely, I think, is gonna, come into play for them, not only Saturday, but also down the road, that, you've got, three guys that essentially are going to be fresh throughout the game. And that's something that could definitely have a big impact down the road.